the ice. I'm going to make an ass of myself. And I'm going to play you a lullaby I played my daughter last night, all right? You may recognize the words, okay?
Okay.
Keep your light lit and a tight grip on the good folks that you love. Let the rain go, chase the rainbow. There's a lot of truth in that little stuff. Ain't
Dude.
that enough? That little stuff.
How old's your daughter, man?
She's 5.
And she was in?
Pardon?
She liked it?
Oh, man, she liked it. You know what she said? She said, Daddy, I love it. Where'd you learn that? Did you write that? And I said, no. She goes, okay, well, play me your unicorn song. Because I write little kids songs.
Yeah, it's important, man. I think, my daughter is 6. And so they, she's all, I obviously play, so she reacts, but I think she'd react anyway. You ever heard of Aaron Ratier?
No.
He's a wonderful songwriter. I write a lot with him, been around for a long time, but he writes a lot of children's songs. He's got a song called Listen to Your Mama.
Oh, nice.
Really good. And he writes songs like Snuffleupagus, Don't Mess With Us. And yeah, are you drinking out of a princess cup right now?
I didn't change it out from the thing I just did, man.
I started to do that. Now my daughter has one.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's really on brand for me, man. So now if there's any doubt how uncool I am, versus a big music star like yourself, man, now you know. I drink out of a princess cup.
I do. I think it makes us all even cooler if that's what we do. I think that's what it's all about.
Man, I like how you set your standards low on the cool scale. Like I was watching some of the footage that you're putting up on your Instagram feed about your touring and all this stuff. And I'm like, man, this dude's way too cool for me to be talking to.
Way too cool. No, man, that's we're in the same boat. You just have the one daughter.
No, get ready, man. I got 5 kids. She's just my littlest.
Wow, man. Well, I only have 2. I have a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. I can't imagine having 5 kids because we can barely hold it down with just the 2. And,
I can't. There's some days I can't imagine it either, man.
It's yeah. I hope this isn't a strange question, but was that intentional? Y'all wanted to have 5 kids?
It's interesting. We were married for 5 years, so I tell a funny story that nobody really can figure out. When I was 29, I had 29 and a half, let's say, I had no kids. And by the time I turned 30, I had 2. So the first one we were in the process of adopting, and we became pregnant with the second one. And then the third one was a couple years later, and it was a girl. And probably how you can relate when you had your son and you're thinking you're kind of done. I'm like, I'm done, man. I'm good. I'm done raising babies. And then a couple years go by, and then a couple more years go by, and all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, I have 5 kids.
We shut that factory down after our second.
See, you're smart. You're smart. There's a reason. There's a reason you're Grammys and you make songs for the hit makers, man. You're not a dummy.
It was a mutual. My wife would do that, and she had to have a C-section with our first, and because Lila was breached, and then so she opted to have a C-section again. She enjoyed being able to plan for the birth and shower and have it scheduled and eat and all that stuff. And so while they had her, she was like, why don't we just shut that factory down? And so
Nice.
Son's first skin to skin was with me. And they, because they were, doing another procedure on my wife. And then, so the nurse goes, take your shirt off right now. You got to go in this room, take your shirt off. I take my shirt off. My son's trying to latch to my hairy man body. And, yeah, that's how it all went down. So,
Man, that's fantastic. It's interesting because there's so much going on when somebody's delivered a baby, whether it's your first, second, or your 5th. I remember every time just being surprised like hell what a woman's body could do. I'm like, oh man, these women are legit. Like both you and I can think we agreed. You see a woman give birth, and it's like there's nothing more astounding in my life that I've ever seen.
It's insane. And then to be able to just like, I don't want to say bounce back because it's not. I just can't even imagine. I can't. I'm, you know, such a wuss when I just get a regular cold. So
Yeah,
it's amazing. Yeah.
that's great, man. Well, hey,
When,
let's. Yeah, there you go, man. Hey,
yeah.
I'm thankful every day. I'm sure you are too. Hey, so let's talk about the book. So Brent Cobb, everybody might know you from singer-songwriter, tour with Chris Stapleton, up and down the line, right? And I saw this children's book come out, and I was thinking, where'd this come from? So where'd it come from?
Well, a I've always thought that someday when I had kids, I would like Waylon incorporated his children into his art, like with Shooter, and he would do little children's songs and stuff. And I just always thought that was awesome. And as a way to make my kids a part of what I'm doing, because so many times I'm away from them touring, that I thought that it would be nice to someday, if I had kids, to somehow incorporate it. I didn't know that it would be a children's book. I didn't know that'd be the first way, but I had written that song "Little Stuff," and it probably sums up the album "Keep 'Em on Their Toes" more than any other song on the album. That's sort of the bookend of the album, and I always make albums that are to my children for if I were to ever leave this world, and they would have these songs of mine to listen to and kind of know who I was and what I thought about and what I felt and what I loved. And so that song was already lended itself to that. It was already sort of like, this world's going to be a little bit crazy sometimes, but don't forget about the little stuff that seems trivial, but is the most important. And so that song happened. And then my Hannah Cole Admire, that works with my management, she is the creative director of the actual book. And she came to me and said, what do you think about maybe trying to write a children's book out of the song Little Stuff? And we all loved that song anyway. And so that's how it all happened. We started going down that road.
Nice. And so not only the book is out, but there's also, I don't know if it's an official music video that has the animated version of your family, but that's your family in the video, and then it turns into an animated version. How did all that come together? Is that just your marketing team going crazy? What's up with that?
Well, it was Hannah Cole had a whole lot to do with it. She's the creative director of the whole idea. And I've always sort of used animation anyway, too. I used it a lot on the Providence Canyon album. We did a series of 3 videos. I just always liked Schoolhouse Rock. And I always, I've always believed that there's not that much difference in the muse from when I was a kid to who I am now. And I think it's probably because of stuff like Schoolhouse Rock and Grease, the intro to Grease. And my daughter loves that movie. And but that kind of stuff, I just wanted to incorporate animation. Well, then Hannah Cole is awesome at that. Her creative mind she's just genius. And so that's what we decided to do. And it was funny because we had Delaney Moyer, who did the animation, and she made the animation before we went to sites. She never saw the sites that we had. And so, but those sites that we went to were exactly the way that she made the animations, for the video, it was pretty insane.
Man, I'm familiar with Delaney Royer's work. She's amazing, and I could, it's funny. It has like after I watched the video first and then realized it was her, and I thought, oh yeah, because that's kind of her thing, like the real pops of color. The other thing you do is you play with kind of black and white versus color. The book also plays with that a bit, right? So the genesis of the book is you're sitting down with your kids, they're going to go to bed, and then you kind of enter this world of color. and it's almost like, hey, this is kind of a mundane, yeah, good night thing, but hey, look at all this cool stuff around us, and that's when the pops of color come in. I thought that was pretty creative.
Totally. Yeah. Wizard of Oz. We're not doing anything the Wizard of Oz hadn't already done. Uh, it, but I think like that even in life, and especially when you have um, my 6-year-old what do you say? She's philosophical. She thinks a lot about a lot of things. And I suppose they all are. They're all way smarter than we were when we were growing up. And the world isn't always black and white, but the simplest, but but it is though, kind of. It is that simple though sometimes, where if you just don't overcomplicate it, and sometimes you can't help it. But I always think about the good and the bad and the in between, and what does it all mean? And
Well, that's interesting. You mentioned your daughter. A couple of things about the book. So first of all, you can get the book at brentcobbmusic.com. If you order it now, it'll ship in advance of Father's Day. So that's awesome. $20 for the book. There's also merch bundle deals you can get. So, baby onesies, adult shirts, koozies, quite a combination there. Babies, beer holder, adult shirt. I kind of I like where you're going with this, Brent. That's pretty good.
well, we're all, I think it's important it's all the same. It's all, I remember being a kid and thinking my parents just knew everything. And then you become the age your parents were when you thought they knew everything, and you go, I don't know anything you still always just figuring it out. So yeah, I think the beer holder plus the baby onesie all goes hand in hand.
Yeah, there you go. So the book, back to the book, Little Stuff. It's written as if your daughter. I portray your daughter as telling the story, and one of the things that I thought was interesting, without giving away everything that goes on, is that truly a song she wrote? That little verse
Yeah.
in the book. She writes music.
Yeah. She's been writing since she was a little kid. I mean, little, like 2 years old. I remember the first song she ever wrote.
What?
It's crazy, but she came home from school, and it was springtime, and she said, she was like 3 or 4. She said, I went out at school today, school today, school today. I went out at school today, my itchy nose, and did that with her. And she like saved the hook and everything for like to tell us that her allergies were acting up after going outside at school. And yeah, and so that song in the book is Sunset Roses. I don't mind giving that away. And she again, she's 4.5 when she wrote that. And yeah, she blows my mind. She'll be something big someday.
Man, no kidding. Were you writing music when you were young? I know you were with your dad is a musician, and I read that you were up on stage with them periodically through your childhood, pretty young. So you
Yeah,
must have known you had a knack for music, right? So she must just be carrying on the Cobb tradition.
I think so. Yeah, I can remember being 5, 6, walking around collecting iron ore rocks at my grandmother's house in Webster County, and making a song up while me and my little sister were collecting rocks that went millions and billions and jillions of rocks, time after time after time after time. And that was probably the first song I ever wrote. And Lila is absolutely the same way.
Man, to see the world, oh man, to experience. So she already knew this kind of little stuff lesson, I think, because songwriting to me, to when I see a good songwriter, a phenomenal songwriter like you, I think they just pick out this little detail and they just twist and twist and twist and twist till something bears fruit. And sometimes you're right, you just walk through the paces of the day, you don't even get that thing to twist. But songwriters always seem to find it. But man, to think about her being 6 years old and
Well,
noticing
yeah,
these details.
we were riding around and she was humming, singing a song in the back of the little side by side. We're just kind of easing around, me and my dad and her. And we heard her singing, and we get back to the house and she says, did y'all hear the song I was writing? And well, yeah, we heard you they're singing. And she said, well, you got to hear the title of it. And so when she says that, she says, it's called Sunset Roses. And we were both like, gosh, that's a good title. And she started singing the song, and she came across that one melody line where she says, I kept all your sunset roses. I kept them within my heart. And we were like, good Lord. And then she said the way that she came up with that was that we were riding and she's watching the sunset. And so she sees the sunset. And at the time, she loved the song Roses by Outkast. I'd play that for her on the way to school in the mornings. And there's the one part that goes, lean a little bit closer, see that roses really smell like poo, poo, ooh. And she said she combined that, Roses, to Sunset that she was looking at. And it was like, you got it. You got the thing that takes people a lifetime that sometimes still never get.
That's crazy, man. I appreciate you sharing that story. I'm just, when I hear or see good songwriting, just creativity, whether it's writing like I do or songwriting like I try to or see you do, it's just, it either makes you feel one of two ways. It either makes you feel like shit because you're not worthy a lot of times for me, or it makes you feel like so that you want to go get creative yourself. It's just astounding. I assume your little boy will probably, when he's able, he's only 2, right? When he's 4, he's probably going to be out playing me. That's for sure.
He's a ham, like his little sister, like their grandpa. That he dances already, and just he's when we do family dance parties in the evenings, and we'll turn on whatever, and then he'll always lead the dance. Like he'll tell you, he's like, I'm gonna do this. And then he'll do bust a move, and then we'll all do what he's doing, and he'll go, and now I'm gonna do this, and then like we just do whatever. So yeah, they're both very musical.
He'll be, yeah. He'll be like the hype man for Lila, right? Like he'll be the guy that comes out and opens and just destroys the show. He's great. Oh man. So hey, speaking of music, so let's turn a little bit away from little stuff real quick. So you just got off the road. Finally, I imagine long overdue from your perspective, but what was it like being on the road again after, I assume, a quarantine and a COVID season off?
It was, I told everybody every night it was neat. To every place we would go and play, nobody was on their phones at all. Everybody was completely engaged and just you could tell everybody just wanted to be a part of a moment again together. And, so that was great. Crowds were great. Getting out was great. I honestly don't really, touring is not my favorite thing, only because I don't like to be away from my family. But as far as the tour itself, it went really well. And, it was pretty nice to be playing again.
Well, how did you, and that's really interesting to me to talk to guys like you about how they juggle the two, right? A career that requires you to be gone a lot. And fatherhood at home, right? I just wonder how that works for you. Not only kind of logistically, are you flying in Thursday and back late Sunday and doing the dad thing Monday to Wednesday, that part of it, but also just kind of how you're feeling like on the bus as you're going from place to place in terms of your family not being there.
There's different angles. One, the emotional angle, I can get down about it and get depressed, but then I'll also go, you know what, there's a lot worse things that could be taking me away from a family with other than music. So it's not so bad. The logistically, if we're on a bus, which is not all the time, sometimes we're in a van. Most of the time we're in a van. If we're on a bus, we can bus it back, be back to Nashville by 8 o'clock in the morning on Sunday. I can jump in my truck, drive 6.5 hours home to Georgia, and I'll be home Sunday evening through Wednesday, around Wednesday afternoon, and I'll drive back up to Nashville and get on the bus. If we're in a van or if we're out on the West Coast, like this happened on this tour, we were out there. My son has never experienced life without me in it, and because of the pandemic, and I was able to watch him become a toddler from a baby, and he did not deal with it very well. He every morning, like my daughter was always, when I'd go on the road, she'd be really sweet and sensitive, and she'd get sad, but she was very sweet. Tuck is pissed off. From the moment he wakes up, he would like kick the dog and then slap his mama and stuff. And I would try to FaceTime with him, and he would not look at me. He would act like he was too busy working on his little John Deere tractor. And so after I was gone for 3 weeks, and then I had 2 days. I had 48 hours, and I was gonna stay in Nashville and write, but he was dealing with it so bad that I just drove home. I got in. We drove from Tulsa, no, from somewhere in, so I can't remember where we were, Oklahoma somewhere, and we drove all the way in. It was like an 8-hour drive. We got to Nashville at 6 o'clock that evening. I jumped in my truck, drove 6.5 hours home. So it took about 7 hours. Got in at 2, and then couldn't go to sleep, of course. And then they were up at 6:30, and I walked in his room that morning, and I said, "Hey, buddy," and he looked up at me, and he just put his head down. And I was like, "Come on, man, let's get up." And I got him up. He was just madder than hell. And the first thing he did is go over to his mama and kick her. And I was like, "Hey, man, we're not kicking mama, dude." And he looked at me and just lost it, like just cried like crazy. And so we spent 48 hours together, and me going, "Hey, daddy's got to go back to work. Tuck's going to be nice. Daddy will come back home." And I got him to where he'd say, "Daddy's going to come back home," but he would never say Tuck's going to be nice. He said yes after that. But,
So he wanted to he wanted a little control, right? I mean, he wanted a little bit of control. So how do you? So I saw I don't see anything in the short term, at least on your schedule. I'm assuming you're going to do something over the summer. I did see that you're going across seas with a tour in December.
yeah, we're going to go over with them. I have 2 tours that we haven't announced yet that'll be coming up, so we'll be announcing shortly.
Are you coming to Tampa?
I don't know, man. Nobody goes to Florida. I wonder why. I'd have to look up. I'm in Florida right now, actually, but I would have to look up the schedule. I don't know. Probably, maybe.
What are you doing? Are you vacation?
Yeah, I got off the road and we came straight down here to Panama City.
Oh man, good for you. You earned it, man. Well, it looks like a little beachy feel behind you with the lime green and the wood paneling. I like it, man. I thought it was pretty country. Yeah, you Tommy Bahama shirt, relaxing.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. So again, are you writing all the time, or how's writing amongst all of your own project stuff and you're not in Nashville anymore, at least full time?
Yeah, we moved back to Georgia a couple years ago when when I started touring again after she was born, so my wife could have help, and so but I'll still go to Nashville a week out of every month and write, and I always write. I mean, I write over Zoom, and it's really productive for me. I seem to be a lot quicker. I tried to convince people at my publishing company for 2 years that I did not have to come up there to co-write with people. If they wanted to write, it is the future, and we can do this. It took a global pandemic for that to happen, but for them to believe me. But no, I write all the time, constantly.
Nice.
I write for work, and I write to relax as well.
Well, hey, listen, I write kids songs, and your daughter is going to pass me up soon, so I need to strike while the iron's hot and get on Lila's calendar to say, "Hey, I got the second verse of Sunset Roses whenever you want it."
Do you really?
Yeah, dude. I wrote it down. Actually, I read the book, and I'm not shitting you. I swear to God. I read the book, and I always kind of write too. I'm a writer, right? And late at night, I was sitting there. Everybody's asleep. My wife's sleeping on the couch next to me in front of the TV, and I wrote down the second verse. Man, you want to hear it? I'm not going to sing it. Okay, we've already heard that disaster. Go ahead.
Yeah.
All right, I got okay. Sunset Roses. I'm going to read her part. So Lila Cobb, the genius 6-year-old, says, "I'll keep your sunset roses. I kept them all throughout the night. When I get sad and lonely, they turn the dark to light." And I said, "Stop and smell the roses, Dad. Will you be home soon? To wade in that river, feel the breeze on a Georgia afternoon."
Come on.
Hi.
Come on. Well, see, now you're going to have to get a third of this song, so I don't know how I feel.
No, you can have it. You can have it.
That's great, though.
All right, man. Well, that's. I mean, when you have talented kids, as both fathers, I'm sure you do this. You just stand in awe of when you see a kid with talent, and it's cool that you're able to nurture that. Not only by saying, "Hey, go ahead and do this. I'll buy you a class. You can go learn guitar." Shit, you do it. You've done it at super high levels. That's an unbelievable advantage.
Yeah, well, we think about it constantly, as I know you do. When you have intelligent and creative kids, you go, "Lord, please," or whoever, let me be able to nurture that talent that they already have and not let it, just not. You also don't want to pressure it either. But yeah, I constantly go, please don't let me fail this genius of a human being, this sweet, you know, huge heart of a person. Please let me give them an outlet and cultivate their creativity
Well,
because
the
it's
good news is you're leaving all these relics for them to at least admire. This is the book never goes away, right? Little stuff, get it on your bookshelf because it never goes away anymore, and they can always flip this book open. Think about if they ever have kids, them opening Grandpa's book. That's crazy, right?
absolutely, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Man, nice. So, hey, we're coming to the end of the session. I appreciate all the time, Brent. BrentCobbMusic.com is where you get the book. Hey, a quick game before you go, because I haven't mentioned any of your song titles that everybody loves, right? So I'm gonna say your song, or I'm gonna make a fatherhood question based on your song titles. Got it?
Okay.
All right. So your latest album is called "Keep 'Em on Their Toes." How are they keeping you on your toes today? Your kids?
Well, my 2-year-old, we're potty training him, and he decided uh, drop a good one right about 5 minutes before this happened, right before nap time. So that's one way.
Nice, perfect, perfect timing. That always happens that way. Okay, the last time you were on your soapbox, which is a title from your latest CD, right? When the last time you were on your soapbox with the kids?
Lila's always super easy. Tuck, no, I mean, constantly. I mean, I always have to just, hey, man, right now we have to change your diaper. Right now, here's why. You don't want to sleep in that, do you?
Nice. All right, last one. The book is called Little Stuff. What's the last piece of little stuff that comes to mind when I say what's a fatherhood little stuff that you got recently?
Um, well, we went down and to the beach yesterday, and there are these little seashells that we call them diggities because they like come up and then they'll dig down into the sand. You know, uh, just that moment of being with them out there, and that's the little stuff. Just the whole family creating. They'll remember it forever.
Yeah,
So
and then you're gonna sing a thousand, a million, a trillion, diggities.
diggities.
No iron ore anymore. Good deal.
Yeah,
Oh, hey, Brent Cobb, man, I appreciate it. I really like your stuff. I love the way you write. I love that you're bringing your kids around, and I love that you're going to leave this little relic for them. Little stuff, get it at BrentCobbMusic.com. Thanks, man.
Tobin.